and pay attention to this one specifically, because this is such a decisive refutation of the Ash'aris that it can't be argued with. The Shaykh says that when these people, when they take some of these texts that they can't reject, like they find an ayah, but obviously they can't reject an ayah, or when they find a hadith in Bukhari or Muslim, they can't reject the hadith in Bukhari or Muslim. So what they try to do is they try to change the meaning. So what they do is, they say, and the Shaykh will give an example, is that they change the meaning from what it actually is, and then give it another meaning. And so they claim, now we're not falling into tashbih. Now we are not likening Allah to the creation. But now, the fact is that they've just come with another meaning, but to affirm that meaning, that too must mean that you're likening Allah to the creation. So now you have to make a reinterpretation of that meaning as well, to another meaning. Now, I know this might sound a bit difficult, but if we give an example, the Shaykh gives an example, it will become clear to you. For example, with respect to Allah affirms for himself that he has two hands. Obviously, Allah's hands are not like our hands. We don't resemble them to the hands of the creation, but we affirm for Allah these hands, and we don't know how they are, but we affirm them. So these Asha'irah, they try to because this occurs in the Quran, they can't refute and they can't reject a verse in the Quran. Allah says that I created Adam with my own two hands, and there are other verses like this. So the Ash'aris, they say that what is meant by hands is actually power. It's not hands, but power. So they now say Allah has power. We don't say hand, but we say power. So now they distort and they change the meaning. And they say that if we were to affirm hand, then it would mean that we are basically, we are resembling between Allah and the creation. So now our response to them is that you've just taken the word, you've just taken Allah's attribute of hand, and you've changed it to quwwah, power. But we are also described with quwwah. We also have the attribute of quwwah. So now there's still a resemblance between Allah and the creation according to your belief. So now you have to do the same thing with quwwah, give it a different meaning. You can't stick with quwwah, because now you're still falling into the same thing as you did with hand. So now you've got to apply the same principle. So you've got to now do ta'weel again. You've got to make another interpretation of power and take it to mean something else. And so basically this chain will never end. It doesn't matter what meaning they give, that meaning will always require interpreting again and again and again and again. So it just doesn't stop. So now the Shaykh now gives another example. The second example is that the Ash'aris, they say that when Allah describes himself with mahabba, love, that Allah, he mentions love in the Quran. Allah mentions love. And so they say Allah doesn't really love, he doesn't really have the attribute of love, because love implies like deficiency. It implies a deficiency. And that's just with humans. But what is really meant by mahabba is actually irada, that Allah wills, or Allah wishes that he wants to reward a person. This is how they interpret love. Right? So it's not love, it's actually Allah. This just simply means Allah's desire to reward someone. That's what it really is. Allah's will, or Allah's desire to reward someone, to give someone thawab. So now we say, well, okay, what you've done now is that you've taken mahabba, this attribute which Allah clearly affirms for himself, and you've negated its real meaning, and you've given it your own meaning. You've said it means irada. It means Allah's will, or Allah's wish or desire. So we say to them, well, wait a minute. The creation have a will. We have a will. Don't we have a will? Don't we wish? Don't we desire? Don't we will? Of course we do. So now this attribute, this meaning that you've given it, is the same as what is found in the creation. Now you have to take this meaning and reinterpret it and give it another meaning. Otherwise you're falling into the same thing that you are accusing us of. Because they're accusing us of liking between Allah and the creation, because we affirm for Allah that He has mahabba. Yet what they've done is changed this meaning to irada, but still they're falling into the same thing what they accuse us of. Because the human has irada and Allah has irada. So what's the difference? You've just fallen back into the same thing. So you have to interpret this thing and distort its meaning to something else. And then when they go to that thing, then likewise the same thing will apply to something else. So really what it means is that they're trying to run away from something, claiming that no, we don't want to fall into this because it means we will liken Allah to the creation. So they want to run away from that, but then they just go back and fall into the very same thing that they're trying to run away from. So this shows, this is the falsehood that the Asha'irah are upon. So the Shaykh continues and he says that, then the Shaykh goes on, he mentions some more points. That was really point number 4. And the Shaykh says that these people, they might argue and they might say that if they argue back and say, well, wait a minute, okay, we affirm irada, but we affirm it in a manner that befits only Allah. Then we will say to them, well, wait a minute, what was the problem in saying the same thing with respect to mahabba? Why couldn't you just say the same thing that we affirm mahabba in a manner that befits Allah? This is how they fall into the contradiction. So when they interpret the attribute mahabba and say, well, no, it means irada, and you say to them, well, wait a minute, you've just fallen into the same thing that you're accusing us of, because mankind has irada and Allah has irada, so there's tashbih. And they say, no, but the difference is that we only affirm the irada in a manner that befits Him. So our answer is, well, wait a minute, so why did you feel the need to change it from mahabba to irada and then say that? Why couldn't you just say with mahabba that we affirm mahabba in a manner that befits Allah? So then this is how they fall into a very big contradiction in their methodology. So that was point number 4, and that's one to basically pay close attention to, because it really is a destruction of the methodology that they are upon. Every single interpretation or distortion that they make, then they're still falling into the same thing that they're accusing us of. They can never escape from that, from falling into that. And that is a big refutation of their methodology.